Hello, 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 everyone. All righty. Looks like we got some people coming in, and I am looking forward to our discussion tonight. This is the last workshop in this series for the month. Let's go ahead and flip to the next slide. Before I jump into my presentation, I want to take a moment and make sure that the Zoom is accessible. Zoom is best viewed on a laptop or a computer, not on your cell phone, because you may not be able to see me or may not be able to follow along. On a laptop or a computer, you're able to see much clearer because it's larger. There are voice interpreters. You want to go ahead and click the sound on if you like to follow along with the voice interpreter. We also have closed captions. I'll be signing, but there will be captions at the bottom. Just click on view to see the captions. If there are any technical difficulties or any problems, just type into the chat and our tech team will help. Next slide. If you are on the Zoom and I look a bit small or I'm difficult to see, you should see a little line between the PowerPoint and my picture. You can actually adjust that and make me as large as you prefer. You can even make me full screen so that I am more visible. Next slide. We will have a Q&A during our presentation. You should see some buttons at the bottom of your Zoom. If, as I mentioned last go round, you want to make a comment or you have a technical question, you should do that through the chat box. If you view the Q&A and you have a similar question, you can actually upvote and you can like it, and then that question will move to the top and we will see it and be able to answer. So keep an eye out for that. Next slide. I want to send a heartfelt thanks to CSB Cares and Wells Fargo, because if it wasn't for the two of them, I wouldn't be here to share the information. We've had a panel, we had special guests, all focused on finances, because this is Women's History Month. So a huge thank you to the two of them again. Next slide. I haven't mentioned who I am. My name is Roxann Richards, Roxann on the cheek. I do work at RIT NTID in admissions. You may think that I'm a recruiter flying from place to place, but no, I'm not. I am in office and I do budget management, ordering, and doing some support for admissions where needed. So I love finances and thinking about money. We've been doing this for quite a few weeks. Our first week, we talked about taxes. There were some who shared their experiences and some tips. The second week, we had a real estate agent, and we talked about how real estate and buying a house may work during the coronavirus pandemic. Last week, we discussed crypto. Oh, I'm practicing how to spell it. Cryptocurrency. Whoop, whoop, I got it right. That is a hot topic that's out now. It's a brand new concept. And we're going to do a brief recap before we dive into today. So you'll hear more about that soon. And today is just some financial tips that I wish I knew earlier, like in my 20s. Next slide. So let's talk about taxes, which we discussed in our first week. There were a few things that I know we all learned, but some really impacted me. The racial disparities in taxes. For example, when it comes to home ownership, those who are people of color, Spanish, Black, BIPOC, if they have houses, they may not be able to keep it, or may not even be able to purchase a house and just continuously rent. There are tax credits for home ownership, but if you don't own a home, you're not able to truly take advantage. And then secondly, when it comes to wealth, people of color really go through and have been going through for quite some time. The privileged generations have family support. They have generational wealth. They have jobs that have been handed to them or finances that have been handed to them, compared to Black and Spanish or other races. We've been able to build, but not as much as those with privilege, and it's truly impactful. Let's go on to the second week. The second week, we talked about house shopping. And if you weren't familiar with how to buy a house, you may think it's not too difficult. Well, I know back in about 1968 or 86, excuse me, you may feel that in the areas, they did not want people to mix. The bank and mortgage loaners decided to do something called redlining. And essentially it's what it is they would move a lot of people to one specific area, for example, Black people, whereas the white people would be able to live in a nicer neighborhood, a better school district, nicer houses, and the Black people were left to live in poverty. However, they realized it and began to fight. And finally, that redlining that was done is now illegal. So if even after 68, things have been happening, there should not be any emphasis for people to live in one specific area. It may still be happening though. Maybe a coworker or a friend have shared an experience, but sometimes it's hard to prove. You want to watch out. They may be feeling that something's not quite right, but there's no proof. But advocate for yourself and know your rights. Moving forward, our discussion last week with our invited guests was so rich. There was so much information that I didn't know. We discussed cryptocurrency, and I thought cryptocurrency was just a separate form of billing for games or for computers. I didn't think I truly needed to know anything about it. Later on, I found out more and more information, and I thought that was more of the white man's world. But no, our people have to join. I will say, I went ahead and bought myself some cryptocurrency because I'm getting involved and I want you to get involved with me as well. Especially as women, we want to go ahead and pick up and learn all we can because we are going to take over the world. Next slide. Now, this evening, financial tips that I wish I knew earlier. I want to share things that I have learned. So let's move forward. Now I want to check the audience to see if you know if this is true or false. You have a universal or overall credit score. Is there just one credit score? Or are there specialized areas for your credit scores? Is this true or false? Please type this into the chat box and let's see what you think. You can just type in true or false. Okay. Some of you know your stuff. All right, next slide. It It is false. There is not just one. There is a number of different credit bureaus. We have Experian, TransUnion, let's see, Experian, I'm missing one. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to remember. There's 3 of them. The 3 of them do not define you. If, let's say, your score is a 500, you may think that's it. You are able to improve those scores. So don't let those numbers define you. It may show your financial responsibilities and what you've done in the past, but it's not all who you are. Next slide, please. So we talked about the credit score. Now I have a question for you. I've had people to question this very important question. Should you add a child as an authorized user for your credit card to help improve their credit score? Because your credit score may be growing, but they have asked, should they add their children? What do you think? Go ahead and type your answer in the chat box. So I see one person say, yes, I can add them, but should I give them the credit card? They're going to be just making it rain out here, swiping away. But hey, I agree with that. No, don't give them the card. No. I see some unknown. I see help. It'll help their financial abilities. Okay, so we're kind of split. We have some who thinks it's true and some who thinks it's false, and some who are kind of neutral. Let's move to the next slide. Believe it or not, yes. Regardless of if you're confident in your decision, with your child, you may even be thinking that their actions would impact your credit. Well, I get it. You work very hard to get those numbers up. I used to be at 500 and I moved up 600, 700, maybe even to the 800s. But then if I add them, it's going to destroy my credit. You want to allow them to use credit for what they can afford. 100, maybe 200. If something happens, you have to be able to pay it off. You want to take the ability to teach them. If they abuse it, take the credit card. So this is something that you may want to think about. You want to help your children to build with their credit, and this is honestly a great place to start.
So there are different ways to build your credit. You can pay your bills on time. And that's especially important for example, cell phone bills, electricity, water, other utilities. Those help your credit, believe it or not. Some people think it's not a big deal, but actually it does contribute to your credit score. So if you have a cell phone, you have electric bills, you have other utilities, it's important to pay those bills on time. Secondly, look at your credit use ratio. Do not overuse your credit. For example, going over your credit limit. Look at how much credit you use. For example, let's say you have a limit of $10,000 on your credit card, but you only use $2,000. That's not bad. So you want to use under 20% of your credit. Just do not use your credit to the point where you're close to maxing out. But if you have to use a certain amount of your credit, go up to 30%. it's important not to be in the 80% range, because if you're spending more than you can afford, then why do you have credit cards in the first place? You can open new credit accounts, but don't go out having fun opening all these credit accounts and going shopping at Express and these other Finish Line shoe stores, etc. If you open up too many credit lines, that will impact your credit score as well. So use what you need and use it wisely. You have to be very careful with your credit usage. I remember something very clearly from my own experience when I was opening accounts. And I figured, okay, I don't need that account anymore. I'm going to go ahead and close that credit card and get rid of it. And that negatively impacted my credit. I was freaking out. Like, why is my credit score going down? I was contacting the bureaus and asking them. And I realized it was because I closed my account. So when you open accounts, it's important to leave it open for a certain amount of years to show that you have a credit history and you're able to hold credit cards without closing them and getting rid of them over and over again. So I learned my lesson from that. Next slide, please. Now, I'm curious about you all. What is the best age to start investing? Let's see your answers. I'm excited to see your answers. Let's post those answers. Let's see what you all voted for. So did you pick late teens, early 20s? Did you pick 30s, 40s, or over 65 above, over retirement age? What did you all pick for best age for investing? And someone asked, investing in what? I mean, anything, stocks, retirement, land, any type of investment. Okay, let's go ahead and see what the people's vote said. I'm proud of you all. Some people said, let's see, next slide. Yes. Some people don't understand what investment means. Some thought it meant stocks, but not only stocks. You can invest in retirement, you can invest in land. I started late. And what a lot of people don't know is that I was born in Jamaica and my family didn't really invest in retirement or stocks or the like, because we really looked at land. So, and we wanted retirement money. So what my mom did was she had land that had been handed down for generations, and then she wanted to give it to me. And I didn't want to accept that land. But then I realized that in Jamaica, that's considered an investment because land is valuable and the land value can increase over time. So I was resistant to it for a long time. And I was, you know, my mom kept persisting until I finally agreed. I was maybe 33 or 32 at the time. And that's when I realized about, the investment. And even though I was nervous, I went forward with it. But it's a huge investment. And the earlier you do it, the better. Next slide. So some people want to start investing early, like in retirement, for example. And it's better to start them because of the numbers. Well, let's say you want to invest a small amount, $30, $40. That's fine. Because the percent let's see, how do I say this? Let me hold that thought. There's a picture I'm going to show you with 25 to 35, 35 to 45, 45 to 50, and all these increments you see on the slide. So you can see the interest is going up. And as your age goes up and the time you're working at your job, there's not much of a difference from the 25 to 35 range. But when you get into the 45 range, you start to notice the difference. So the point is, it's never too late to start investing. It's not. And it's not about the amount that you invest, it's about the amount that you earn back and how long you stay with your job over time. So please share information with your children, friends, pass it forward in your generations. That investment is important. Next slide, please. I was going to make a comment and then I decided to hold until this slide. So we have something called compound interest, where it's increasing based on, let's say, age, and it helps a lot. And when you're young, we tend to spend a lot, but when we're older, we have houses, we have other debt, we have cars that we're putting all of our money towards. So when we're young, we can have this amount of money that we're setting aside. And if you can afford it, the interest is going up steadily over time. So that's why it's important to start early to help with your financial habits and to help you become more responsible. And investment is considered, you know, your protection. Maybe there's a little risk involved, but it depends on what type of investment you are doing. And some people like to invest a lot of money because of the compound interest. It's a good thing. They tend to do well. And when you start early, it's an added benefit. So there's possibilities. It's not impossible. Let's go to the next slide. So I just recently learned about this, and I'm curious how much you all know. Which is better, credit union or a national bank? What are your thoughts? Let's see what the poll votes say. What percentage of you all thought that credit unions were better, and what percent thought national banks were better? Okay, are we ready? Let's see what the answers were. Okay, you know your stuff. Yes, you're right. Credit unions are the best. Hold, let me explain. Let's go to the next slide. I can't say they're the best, but they are needed. I say that because credit unions have more flexibility with fees. You can get a house loan or mortgage. National banks have the same benefits, but credit unions tend to partner with other federal, let's say, credit unions. And you can have it without any fees. And I didn't know this, but I was a little resistant for a while. But when I finally went ahead and got an account with the credit union, it was so warm and welcoming. And National banks tend to see us as a number, business as usual. And I'm not saying you have to only have a credit union. You can have both. But if you, are questioning credit union or national bank, I want to let you know it's okay to have both. Just know that, I have, for example, national bank for my job, but I have credit union for, let's say, my car loan, paying my rent. And it's convenient, I would say, national banks. I was considering transferring those accounts to national bank, but it's good to take advantage of all of the benefits that credit unions offer. So my job has a specific credit union associated with it. So if I opened an account, they would give us a reduced interest rate on car loans. So of course I was going for it. It was cool, right? So it's important for you to check with your job, see if they have any partnerships with credit unions, if there are added benefits you can take advantage of. And let's go to the next slide. So, talking about COVID, I want to know what percent of people have regrets about not having an emergency fund. A lot of us say, oh, we'll do it later, or we think it's not a big deal right now. What are your thoughts? We have 14%, 30%, 55, 82. I'm wondering which one are you all going to pick? Well, I know I wasn't surprised to see this. Okay, what's the answer? No. The right answer is 55%. Apparently, 1 second. Let's go ahead with the next slide. Are we missing a slide? Okay. So the answer is 55%. Yeah. And maybe that number has to do with having family support or not. And some people who have family members that they can go to for extra funds. And maybe some people can afford to set money aside for emergency fund. And some people just don't know. So now we've been experiencing COVID for about a year. And people think about automatically deducting, what they can afford. So if something happens throughout the week that's unexpected, they have the money ready to take care of that. So maybe they have money in another bank. And let's see why I mentioned that on the next slide. It is important. I'm emphasizing this. Now that we've gone through COVID, we've been waiting for stimulus check to support us. And I would say 6 months of emergency fund is minimum of what you should have. And the reason I say that is it should be based on your budget, figuring out what everything costs per month, what bills you pay every month, add it all up, and then multiply that by 6. And that's the amount you should set aside. And maybe you can't do 6 months, but maybe you can do 3 months. Something easier for you. The point is, it's important to have an emergency fund, whether it's small or not. And you start by using budget apps, for example. So one person told me about YNAB, and it's amazing. YNAB is a good, cool app. There's also Mint, there's Nerd Wallet, and Tasho. So many different ones. And you can just be old school using an Excel. Pencil and paper is fine too. And then you can transfer it to an app.
Having it online can be beneficial. It's automatic, and maybe you're great with technology, maybe you're not. But if you have some suggestions, please let me know. Go ahead and type that into the chat. I'm pretty curious myself. I see, let's see, Digit. Somebody mentioned Digit in the chat. They said that it's Champ. It's really good. So hey, I'll have to check that one out too. Thirdly, savings account. There's some people who feel that savings account is not needed. They just use their checking account, but you'd be surprised. Again, it depends on the bank, but some banks have an aggressive interest rate. Some of the interest rates are pretty low, but if you put a great deal of savings in, let's say, it gets a better return. It's like free money. So you have to leave the money in there. If you keep using it, the interest rate will be, it won't really affect it. But if you have a good amount in there, they'll pay you for having your money in the bank as like a thank you. So that's really nice and really cool. You want to use that for your emergency fund, not just your typical bills that you have each month. And on our next slide, you may think, well, why do you need an emergency fund? Well, your car might break down. Or for example, I've had a bad experience of theft, of someone trying to break into my bank account. The account was frozen and I didn't have access to my money. I had to ask my parents to give me a little bit of money so I could function until it was cleared up. And that taught me a lesson. I have another bank account, secondaries, to protect myself. So any, unexpected situations, you are prepared. Or it may be you aren't able to pay all of your bills. You may want to do a part-time job or some sort of contract. It's really worth it sometimes. If you have your main job, you may, contract and work with another company to use your skills and experience and use that for savings into your emergency fund. Be creative. Lastly, let's say with the coronavirus pandemic, maybe you lost your job or you were furloughed or something happens within your life. Your life insurance or even your health insurance plan may have some coverage that can protect you. Again, you just have to check the policies, do a little bit of investigating to see what option is there. You do want to be wise though, because if you take something out, it may affect you in the future. That's just a tip for you. I have a few more. I want to ask, but I'm just going to keep sharing the things I wish I knew. I got a new car and left the lot and realized that I didn't like it anymore. The value depreciated immediately as I left the lot. So you want to make sure that if you're making a purchase, it's something you really want. You have a few days grace period to return it, if not. But if you have it for maybe like a year and you think, okay, I want to go ahead and sell it, there's going to be a huge depreciation of the value. So before you even purchase it, make sure it is what you want before you make that commitment. Savings. You want to have savings in multiple bank accounts. I have PNC. So checking, a second checking, a savings, all under PNC. No, we want to have PNC, a credit union, maybe another national bank. So that way, if something happens with one of your banks, you have the other two as backups. You want to have something to fall back on. So I suggest you have more than one bank. I will reiterate that the credit unions don't have any fees. My credit union does not have a monthly fee. So I don't have to worry. I can relax, my money is safe and nothing's being deducted. Credit cards. I know you see this statement, get credit cards that pay you, but what does that mean? It's 2021. We're talking about awards, cash back, rewards, cash back, travel miles. Those benefits are how the credit cards pay you. So if you use the card, they are essentially awarding you with rewards that are beneficial. For me, I love to travel, but I know timing, schedule, I may not be able to travel as often as I would like. So maybe I don't get a travel mile credit card, but if for your job you travel a bit, or if you know that you're going to travel 2 to 3 times a year, get that card because you may have 200 or 300 flight miles. And you're going to have that available by just doing your everyday purchases. Let's see, next on our list, like me, I'm single. In this day and age, more and more women are single. Maybe they're not interested in having children. Let's say life insurance. You may want to omit some savings, or if you have cousins, little childhood friends that you grew up with, or godchildren. I don't like to, talk about mobility or anything, but in all honesty, we're all getting older and death is coming closer. It's something to think about. If I pass on, where does my money go? You may want to give that to someone who's appreciated you, who has supported you. The 50-30-20 rule. You may be thinking, well, what is that? Those are percentages of bills. 50% should be bills, 30% of what you need, and 20% of what you want. 50% of your spending would be, paying for your lights, your house. 30% maybe will go to the bank for saving, and then 20% could be your eating out at a restaurant. Now, there's food that you need, that 50% was groceries at home, and then going out for entertainment that would fall under your 20%. So things needed for work would be for 50%. Let's say you need an outfit for a presentation. Some cute clubbing clothes would be under your 20%. So you would need to divvy it up. I just learned about the 50-30-20 rule myself. So this may be something you want to hold on to. I want to share our next slide. Okay. Now, I'm happy that I was picked to share my thoughts this month, to host the panel. And I've been thinking just a bit. I am a woman. It's obvious that I'm Black. What does this mean in, I guess, financial literacy? We have to be educated. There may be experiences that we missed out on. When I was younger and in college, I was the first week, my freshman year, coming into a space where they had a few tables. It was like a fair. I think there was like 3 or 4 tables there, and there was one that was credit cards. So I went over, and I know, I'm in college, I'm an adult, I should have a credit card. My parents never explained it to me. Did I need a credit card? No. But I needed to learn again. I was 18 at the time, just got to college. I went ahead and got that credit card. And when I finally got an income, it didn't match my spending on a credit card. What I will say is, please educate yourself first before jumping headfirst. You also need to be empowered. Empower others and empower yourself. Even empower your children. They need to be aware, because the more power we have and realize it, we can be an example. As women, as biopic, they are watching us, and we have more power than we think. I believe the Q&A is popping. There are 9 questions. Oh, let me see. I can't wait to see what you all have and what you'd like to know. Okay. Question number 1. What if you close a credit card and transfer the balance for a lower percentage rate on a new card? Will that impact your score? Your credit score, excuse me. Yeah, well, yes and no at the same time. The reason why I say that is when you close that credit card, it's automatically going to impact your credit, period. However, the new credit line, as I mentioned a few slides ago, if the line is larger, it may help your score. So it may be a temporary drop from where you transfer it. And then if your credit line is larger, it helps. So again, I'll just say be wise.
Next question. What's the difference between credit cards, and credit score? So if you say credit, it means credit score. That's what I was signing. Now, credit cards and credit are 2 different things. So a credit card is like a card that you swipe. And it's not fake, but it's borrowed money. That's a better word. It's borrowed money. So you use that, and then when you make money, you pay it back. That's a credit card. A credit score is when they figure out your level of financial responsibility.
They are looking to see how you are with your money. They want to make sure that you've been playing things on time, and that you are being wise with your funding. Let's see another question. Should you have cash? Like the way the world is rolling, the internet and whole banking could shut down, and you won't have access to anything. Would it be smarter to have cash, like something put into a safe? Well, that's a funny question. I'm glad you mentioned that. A friend of mine sent me an article, and they were saying that cash versus credit cards, which is safer? And I have to say, it's actually credit cards. With cash, let's say if your house catches on fire, that cash is gone. Even if it's in a safe, if it's severely damaged, you're just losing out of that cash. Whereas with credit card, in the card agreement, it says like you're not liable. It's now, I'm not talking about a debit card. A debit card is totally back. That's something different. That goes straight to your bank. However, with a credit card, it's separate. You get profits from the credit card. Again, everyone has a different opinion, and that's fine. If you feel more comfortable with cash, that is fine. You can put it into the safe. And you're right, the world is revolving. And honestly, plastic card is better, believe it or not.
So another highly ranked question was, should I put my emergency fund in a savings account, or where should I store my emergency fund? And the answer is that is based on your individual levels of comfort. Some people like to put their emergency fund in their socks, under their bed, under their pillow. For me, I'm thinking putting money in your socks, maybe they're gonna smell stinky, but I, on a serious note, I'd rather put it in the bank. Again, it's more security there and protection. And what if, the market crashes and all of that? I know there's paranoia about that, but let's say you have $300 on the side. That's different. But if you have $10,000 or more, I wouldn't take a risk on that. So you can have your money in different places. Put it wherever you feel comfortable. I'm not going to tell you where's the best place to store your emergency fund. Okay, so you all keep upvoting these questions. I've answered 3 or 4 already. Now here's one. Is it better to buy a good used car compared to a brand new car because of the depreciation factor? And the answer is yes. So a used car compared to a brand new car, you can buy a used car that's done pretty well, and the depreciation is not going to be that much. But again, if aren't tied to a specific car and you don't mind leasing a car, I would recommend doing that for a 2 or 3 year old used car. It's a car.
Okay, our next question. When I joined a pool of 7 in my 20's until someone decided to quit. It looks like there was a bank account with a CD. You put the money in and you leave it. You're not supposed to touch it for quite a few years. That's like the pool. So we've decided to close the CD. I wish we wouldn't have closed it. Looks like today there's one person who actually left it over there, and looks like it was $350,000. Oh, I said 350,000. Today, the CD interest rate sucks, but is it too late to create a new CD for kids? Again, this is my personal opinion. You have to kind of shop around with your banks and find which bank offers the best CD rates. You may be surprised. I know way back when, a friend of mine wanted to go ahead and open the CD at a specific bank, and their best friend said no, because they saw that the interest rate was not as high as another place. So, like I said, you kind of have to shop and do your homework. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so the next question is a good question. Are there any nationwide credit unions? So far, the only option I've seen are state-based. Yeah, no, there's no national. There are some state and locals, or even, well, county-based credit unions that you may be able to get with. The national banks are larger and more readily available. So with the credit unions, they may partner with another state, and that partnership will allow you to go to free ATMs, free deposits, and that partnership will make it feel more like a national bank. So that's something to think about. All right, moving down to the next question. Question says, trying to figure out what are the source of the statistics. I'm trying to see which poll are we talking about? Okay. I think I get it. They've asked, what is the source of the statistics? Like the emergency fund numbers that I just gave out, that 55%. Let me share the link so everyone can see. There we go. So this is where I got the statistics from, the 55%. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, you see champ resource. I'm ready. I'm prepared over here. Now, I do have somebody helping me to be prepared, so let me say that. All right. How do you resist or reduce the urge to nitpick from your emergency fund? We are human, is what I'll say. It's difficult. I suggest the emergency fund is in a place that's not easy to access, like your bed. If you have it in a box under your bed or something under your pillow, that's not where you want to put it. You want to put it to a place where you can, well, I guess kind of forget it, but it's not on your mind. It's hard. Like I said, we are human. If you have money available, you can grab a little bit from it. I admit it. I do the same thing too. Whew, yeah. So don't worry, you're not alone. Okay, next question says, which of the budget apps are user-friendly? So I mentioned earlier within this presentation that I'm not well versed in all of the budget apps. I'm just starting. I'm trying to get more familiar with them, but I'm old school. I use Excel. Again, I know some of you are not proficient in Excel, and maybe those budget apps will work better for you. You may want to just add in the chat, share your experience with those budgeting apps. Help each other if you have that experience. This is a community loving and working together with each other. You know what I mean, my people. Now, whew, maybe we can do one or two more questions because we're getting towards the end. Okay, questions. Oh, I have a lot of card questions. Card questions are popular tonight. You know what? Never mind. I apologize. Let me jump down. How do you pay off debt? Oh, excuse me. How does paying off debt like student loans or a car affect your credit score? I'm not the one who closed it like closing credit cards. Wait, I don't think I understand the question. Let me reread it. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so it depends. Okay, the person who asked the question, maybe you could clarify a little bit. Paying off debts like student loans or car. Oh, wait, I think I understand now. Okay, I had to reread it. Okay. So paying off your car, let's say